All right. Well, we are live. We are ready for people to chitty chat about starting keto.
Beginning keto.
Yes. So
Yes.
we'll give a few moments for people to get logged in. All right.
All right. So, all right. Did our teenager tell you she was heading to bed early?
No.
So,
All right. Well, if you are new, let us know in the chat that you're new and that maybe how long you've been either on a proper human diet or you are how long you've been looking into it and you're ready to pull the trigger. And then start asking questions. We can chat and ramble and whatever, but we're here to answer some questions for the beginners.
I'm Julie. This is Neil, Keto Coach Neil.
Howdy. Yeah, I said howdy.
He doesn't normally say that.
I don't.
So,
So let's see. So I guess the first thing we can look at is who knows what's the definition of a ketogenic diet, a keto diet, not tabloid keto. That's a whole different animal that we don't even want to entertain. We don't want to feed that beast, but an actual ketogenic diet. Anyone know what that is? What's the definition?
low carb.
You already know. You know the answer, but it's more than that.
Well, I know it is. You just told me to hush.
Well, remember that just like all jacuzzis are hot tubs, but not all hot tubs are jacuzzis. Ah, so keto diets.
Yeah,
Not all keto diets are the same. They're all low carb, but not all low carb diets are keto.
that's true. That's true. What's the difference?
Well, jacuzzi is a brand name.
No. So, no, but
Uh,
seriously, when you say that, explain the difference what you mean by that because not all low carb is keto.
mm-hmm.
So what else is low carb?
Mediterranean diet that could be low carb, not necessarily, not by definition. A paleo diet could fall into that realm of a low carb diet. So, what is a low carb diet? We're asking what's keto. What is a low carb diet? And I'm going to make these people answer me in the chat because I'm not going to say another word until you do. Say hello. Say something. Hello, Denise. Thank you. And let us know from where you hail.
So, but seriously, like on whenever you are doing a lifestyle change, one of the things that as a nurse that I always say is whenever you're making a lifestyle change, make it to where you can do it successfully. Make sure you're picking a lifestyle, especially like an eating lifestyle that you can really, really um, stay connected with. Um, if you had asked me 5 years ago to do, a carnivore diet, a low carb diet, a Mediterranean diet, I would have said, forget it. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not willing to give up all the stuff that I enjoy. It's not. I mean, 5 years ago, I didn't go get donuts every day, but I was gonna go have a donut if I wanted one. I wasn't going to allow a lifestyle to keep me from enjoying things that I used to enjoy. Um, I, just like certain candies, certain ice creams, caramel popcorn, stuff like that. as I have aged, I have noticed that I am more sensitive. So, eating a donut, for one, as a bariatric patient, eating a donut
Hmm.
expands in my stomach and it hurts. I do not eat rice. Have I attempted? Yes, I have. And I will tell you within a few minutes, I was already like, I'm going to get sick. I hurt. So I don't eat pasta and I don't eat rice anymore. And that's due to the bariatric surgery for me. So,
Right. But going back to what you said, if we had asked you 5 years ago, surgery or not, would you have given up those things? You would have said, heck no, only because you didn't understand. You said, what, it's not worth it. What's the point? What's the benefit of me giving that up other than depriving myself of something that I wanted?
right.
But once you are made aware of some potential benefits, then you can start to look into it. You say, it's just like, until you get into the habit of it, someone that might not be into exercise, like, why would I exercise? What's the point? I'm going to be sore. I'm going to be tired. I'm going to sweat and be nasty and have to take a shower. But then after a while, you start doing it, you start to realize some of the benefits of prolonged energy, better alertness, all the things that can come along with physical activity.
Right.
So going back to diet, once you're made aware of what some of these advantages are, you're like, now I can weigh out, is that something I'm willing to do or not? Tell me the truth. Tell me how it is. And then we're all big boys and girls, and we can figure out, am I willing to do that? And I'll make a decision based on facts, not half the story.
Right.
So we were talking earlier about what constitutes a low carb diet, a ketogenic diet, and then you can go into the subsets of ketovore and carnivore and lion. And
Lois said keto is 20 or less grams of total carbs per day.
actually, okay, so low carb is 100 grams of carbohydrates or less for low carb. Now, that doesn't mean a ketogenic diet, just a lower carb.
Right.
And to answer the other question, what's the best way to transition to keto? Start with low carb. Start monitoring your carbohydrate intake, and forget about net carbs, because then you got to do too much math. You have to look at the fiber and look at total carbs. The math's way easier.
Yes, and even though it's not the number you want, keep it real.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things is, I honestly I don't count carbs.
Right.
I just don't. I just, when I eat now, because of the gastro surgery that I had, the bariatric surgery that I had, I just don't count carbs. I just make sure my number one thing is getting my protein in first.
Right. Prioritize protein always.
Yes. So, do I still eat carbs? Yes. I mean, there's carbs in, like our, like the cheese, cottage cheese. It's low carbs, but it's not. I guess my main focus is protein. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but always eat your protein first, then fat, and then the carbs will take care of itself, because you're going to eat to satiety. You're going to eat till you're full, and then it'll kind of be a non-issue. Now, I would say that only comes from analyzing your carbs for a little while.
Right.
2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, until you can kind of get a handle on what does under 100 carbs look like in my daily food journal, which means you might want to have a food journal.
And Mitzi has a good point. Mitzi, Neil did an interview with Mitzi on journaling. That's also a good video to watch.
But then you get a kind of an idea of what does 100 carbs, total carbs, feel like and look like on your menu and throughout your day. Then the next phase of that is a ketogenic. The definition of a ketogenic diet is 50 or less. So 20, that is keto, but the kind of the demarcation of that from a technical standpoint is going to be 50 or less, or less. And that will begin the process of getting you into ketosis, which is where your body says, okay, I've used up all the available glucose, but I need something for energy. Okay, hey, liver, start making some ketone bodies, beta hydroxybutyrate, acetoacetate. Start making these ketones so I can use those for fuel because I'm tapped out on glucose. And that starts around that 50 carbs or less a day. So transition, if you're transitioning from a standard diet, go to low carb first and try that for, it's not going to be a couple days. Try it for 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks and see how you feel after that. Then you can reduce it down to a ketogenic, the keto, the 50 carb. Then the next thing you could go down to, and Dr. Barry would even say, it's like a knob. You just turn the dial down. Then the next, notch on the dial would be around 20 carbs a day. And that's going to be maybe a ketovore, which is essentially, it's a fancy made up name for a very meat heavy ketogenic diet. Because just by focusing more on the meat, the proteins and the fats, you're automatically going to be eliminating more of the vegetables and the starches out of your diet. It's just going to happen. I was doing what people are now calling ketovore. I just happened to do that just as I was going more. I wasn't focused on the carb number. I was just focused on increasing, prioritizing the protein, make sure I was getting adequate fat. And it just happened to be that, they're calling that ketovore now. So that's kind of how that transition works. And then you can go from that to turning it down even further with a carnivore diet, which is all meat. And then you could go lion, which is strictly ruminant meat, salt, and water. And that is very, very extreme. And we're doing this for the newer people that are just like, I'd say 0 or negative numbers. You're still looking at a ketogenic diet as for fat loss, for mental clarity, for some other conditions you're trying to, get some relief from.
Inflammatory process.
Yeah, inflammation. So maybe you're in that investigation process. We want to help those folks to maybe, 7, 8, maybe 9 months of, okay, I'm starting to get a handle on this, and I'm hearing a lot of different terms and questions and things, and I'm not quite there yet. So I've got some of those, beginner to maybe intermediate questions. And that's what we're going to be doing this, on Sundays for that purpose, to just help somebody get rolling.
And here's something else is for example, because of my personality and how I do things, is it's a good idea to figure out where you're at this point. And then make slow changes. If you do slow changes, for me, if I do slow changes, I have more success in staying that way. So this week is day number 7 for me for doing
beef, butter, bacon, and eggs.
So with that being said, I just started doing, beef, bacon, eggs, and butter. And so at work, I just made sure I had stuff available. So one of the things I had on hand is cheese. So I know I won't eat it. So I did a couple cheese and I made sure I had it. And then you just eventually, yesterday, I didn't have any cheese yesterday, did I?
I don't know. I wasn't with you all day. But here, we've talked about this too. Is, okay, well, cheese. Well, that's not beef, butter, bacon, eggs. Cheese isn't in there. You're right. It's not. Triple B and E, beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. It rolls off the tongue really well. But understand, it's the idea, the essence is it's an elimination diet. It's to narrow down your food choices, and then you can get a baseline, and then you can maybe reintroduce certain foods back and see how your body responds. We talked about this earlier in a video. Nisha, she's got some videos about what they call an N of 1 or N equals 1 experiment with elimination diets, to where N of 1, a subject pool of 1, you, at how to get a baseline, and then how to gradually reintroduce foods and see how you respond to those over time. It's not overnight, and it's going to take some intentional effort to do that. But so anyway, so cheese isn't on that. But the point is this: she's doing an elimination diet. She's shoring up loose ends. She's looking at, well, I've been eating kind of, whatever kind of, and someone else had mentioned, who was it? Denise, talking about dirty keto. Yeah, had some dirty keto here. We've all done it, especially if you're on the go. You just get whatever you can get sometimes. You do the best you can. And sometimes even the dirty keto can get a little off the rails sometimes. And so she recognized that and says, I need to tighten this up. I need to tighten up my diet for this reason, this. She's got her reasons. So that's why you would go on if you're keto and you say, I want to level up and I want to go to ketovore, or I'm ketovore and I want to go to lion, or I want to go to carnivore or lion, so on and so forth. But that's going to come from knowing, like you said, where you are now and where you want to go. And I also let me address Carnivore K. You said nervous about trying keto since carnivore has helped me so much. So the question then I would have for you, Carnivore K, is if carnivore is working for you, hey, Paola, if carnivore is working for you, maybe you need to change, maybe you don't, maybe you're looking to have more food choices. And you can type in the comments, what's your reasoning for going from carnivore to keto? And that doesn't mean that it's a step backwards. Do not misunderstand that. We're big advocates that your health needs, you right there listening, your health needs are as unique as your fingerprint, and they can change and morph as your body, as your life goes. Things change, and you have to stay up on that. So again, my question is, why would you want to go from carnivore to keto? Do you have specific reasons, or is it just, well, I heard I should, or I heard I shouldn't, or things like that?
And the other thing too is,
yes, Paula said, a flexible carnivore. Yeah, there's nothing set in stone about any of this. This is your life. This is your diet. This is your lifestyle. You make it fit you, but in order you have to have solid goals. You have to know why you're doing something.
And here's the thing: that each journey it's your journey. My journey is different from his journey. My eating style is different from his eating style, and that's okay. Just know what you want to do. Maybe, like for me, doing intermittent fasting, every once a month my attempt is to do a 48-hour fast once a month to reset, because I'm 50 and I'm going through some changes. So I wanted to reset my hormones. I wanted to reset some things. So once a month, it'll be a 48-hour fast. Now, on the average, I do between 14 and 18 hours of fasting, just depending on the date. That's my norm. But there are times when I only do 12-hour fast. And so your journey, it changes. It could change daily. It could change weekly. It's what is your point in doing the lifestyle that you're choosing for you. Part of mine is to show, one of the things is I wanted to reduce the brain fog. I did gain a little bit of weight since December, so I'm trying to get that back off. And then the other thing too is one of my coworkers that I work with is like, that's not going to work. Your cluster is going to be sky high. I'm like, nope, I'm going to show you. And they're watching me eat, and they're like, is that all you're going to have today? I'm like, yeah, I'm full. I don't need anything else. And they're like,
but you'll die.
I know, right? So,
and this coworker is actually a licensed medical professional.
Yes.
Person is a doctor.
So we're we've been talking about it, and they're like, really? Like, I don't believe it. So I was able to get some labs done last Tuesday. I haven't received the results yet. And then I'll get some labs again here in a couple months, and then we'll see the difference in how my labs are. My biggest issue for me is because as a bariatric patient is the deficiency in obtaining vitamins and
Absorption issues.
yes, absorption issue is a big thing for me, and it's very hard for me to do it. So I know I'm deficient. He'll tell you he could tell when I'm deficient in things, magnesium, vitamin C, D, E, K. So I'm trying to just get it from my foods. I don't swallow medications very well since I've had the surgery. And I just.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
It is a tough pill to swallow. But so, with that being said, just find out where you're at. And if you need some help, there's a lot of wonderful health coaches here at the PhD and in the community, and just have one that will work with you one-on-one to figure out what you need.
Christy brings up a good point. So I like to cheat on carnivore with ketovore every now and then. I use it as a choice instead of choosing something that's off limits. And yeah, if you need to flex a little bit, yeah, just go keto. If you're a strict carnivore, if you fall into that group, which I am not, I'm a flexible carnivore, maybe ketovore-ish, and it fluctuates. It's a spectrum, and it's dynamic. But yeah, you can always find something and get, having a vegetable is not going to kill you. I promise you, it's not. Now, that's not to say, going vegan is going to help you. I'm just saying that if you occasionally have a little broccoli with your steak or some asparagus, it's okay. It's okay. You'll make it.
Okay. Honestly, when he first started the carnivore diet, he would put the vegetables to the side. He was like, I'm not eating them. I'm like.
But that actually wasn't very long because I was not. See, I learned real quick, and especially for new people, don't let the dogma just stop you in your tracks. People get so dogmatic about, well, that was actually 19 carbs, not 20, so what does that make it? And you get so hung up on numbers and labels. It's a proper human diet spectrum. Understand, it's a spectrum. You are a human being. You are not a closed system. There's going to be an ebb and a flow, and come to terms. Be good with that. Find out what you need. If you've got inflammation issues, if you've got leaky gut, if you've got PCOS, if you've got heartburn and GERD, whatever it is, find out what it is. Find out where you may want to start. I would not go from a standard Western diet, standard American diet, and go right to lion. That's extreme. Your gut will not be good to you, would be my guess, with that harsh of a transition. But find out where you are, find a good starting point. And guess what? You may start here and realize, maybe that's a bit much. Let me back it off a little bit and ease into it a little bit more. That's what I did. I went a little too hard, too strong, too soon. And I had to kind of back it off a little bit, let your body adjust. There's this thing called becoming fat adapted and keto adapted. And then once that happens, then you can start to turn that dial down a little bit. And I know we talked about SMART goals.
Yeah, we did. And Denise, yes, the inflammatory process. So we've had people who were on keto, low carb, keto-4, and they're like, I'm not losing weight. And one of the things we found was that they were eating processed keto products.
Mm-hmm.
So that won't.
Dirty keto.
Yes, that is dirty keto. But they didn't realize that it was dirty keto.
Right.
So it's just better for you to eat the more natural it is, the better it is.
Right. Whole food, real food. Now, to that point, I will say that dirty keto is still better than a standard American, standard Western diet full of processed, over-processed crap. It's a step in the right direction, but you really, as soon as you're able, you'll want to transition to real whole foods.
And just take your time doing
right.
it to be more successful. That's for me. It was easy for him to like, I don't want it. I was like, okay.
Yeah, and again, we're going to do this, probably, hopefully every Sunday night, focusing on new people and new person questions. One thing maybe we'll touch on next time is, what's a fat bomb? When do you use that? There's nothing wrong with those getting started. We're talking to beginners. That's fine. And there's a time and a place for everything. And that might be a long season, might be a short season. Again, it's as unique as your fingerprint, and we can help you kind of steer you along to find out where you at, where's your benchmark, your baseline, and go from there. Like she said, the way I eat and my whole process was way different than hers. My whole process was completely different, I guarantee, than Paola, than Christy, than Denise. Everybody's going to be different. Everyone's diet and lifestyle is going to be a little bit different. It just is. So that's why we want to do this, especially to help the newest person figure out, and the big thing for me is separating fact from fiction with tabloid keto and an actual ketogenic diet and all the subsets under there, ketovore, carnivore, lion. What's tabloid keto, what you read in the tabloids at the supermarket and the latest, greatest. Usually it's a bunch of crap. And what's an actual ketogenic diet, but then also the lifestyle that goes around that. What does that need to look like for you? And that's where I'm a certified health coach. We got several in the community as well. So take advantage of all of that. And if someone needs a little bit of an extra push or a little bit of an extra attention, yeah, then reach out, phdsynergy.com. We do that too for, folks that just need a little bit more focused attention beyond, group coaching. Because it can be a little daunting, because especially now in this low carb keto space out there on the inner tubes, it can get confusing. And that's one of the things, part of our mission is to help eliminate the confusion, but also show people how all the things can work together. Your diet, your activity and exercise, which are two different things, your sleep and your rest, again, two different things.
Stress levels.
Your stress level, the behavioral, mindfulness, even spiritual side of things, and how all of those, it's synergy, how they all work together to complement one another, and how you can bring them all to bear so that a rising tide raises all the ships. So that's kind of our MO. Start gradually. Absolutely.
So in just like from the very beginning, just start where you're at, know where you're at, and then make small changes.
Mm-hmm.
And when you make small changes slowly, you're more able to stick with it and stay successful and just gradually add it. Just like our grandson, he's trying different foods and she gives him one thing and allows him to get used to that for about a week or so. And then she'll add something else and see how he does. So it's just kind of like that. It's just the elimination diet and figuring out what you can and can't have.
And adding something, a little at a time.
Yeah.
And Paula brings up a great point. We've said before too, start gradually, because if you have too big a transition, you're not going to be happy and you won't stick with it.
Right.
We're here. We're all telling you, start gradually. Otherwise you're going to have some gut distress. You might have what they call the keto flu. We can talk about that some other time, because you've put such a shock to your system that it's rebelling, it's revolting against you. So we want to do that slowly. And then, one of the things that you might experience, like she says, a thing called oxalate dumping, because your body's it's detoxing. Your cells have held on to a bunch of junk for years, decades, and now it's like, oh, we've unlocked the key to it as you get into this keto lifestyle. On a cellular level, you unlock stuff and it starts to release. But it's like, oh, some of the stuff it was storing up is toxic, and it could manifest in a number of different ways. Gut issues, skin issues.
Gout.
Yeah. Now,
Gout.
is it all normal? Yeah, to be expected in some cases, maybe.
Yeah.
Not every case, but be aware that when you make a big change to your body and to your lifestyle, there may be some things that are going to come into question.
Absolutely. And absolutely, like I like gout comes and goes. Some people are able to flush it out of their system, but for the most part, they're not able to. They're having to be put on medication to decrease the gout. So,
and that brings up a whole other issue. We can talk about that next week. Is medications. I'm starting this keto journey. I'm already on 5 medications. What do I need to do now? I am not a doctor. She is a nurse, but she's not your nurse, and she's not a doctor. So we don't talk specifics. We can talk in some generalities about that, and maybe ways that you can have a conversation with your doctor who prescribed the medication for you. And we can tell you about some stories and things that we've heard and experienced. But that's something to consider too, is if you're on a bunch of medications, I know for me, and I know we're over time, but like for me, I was on blood pressure medication. And as things started to drop and come into line, I was still taking the same dosage. I was trying to work out, and my blood pressure bottomed out. And I was like, I got to sit down.
Yeah, he was really bad. I mean, just to give you a little insight, it is Neil's blood pressure used to be 210 over 120.
It was high.
It was really high. I told him if he stroked, I was going to revive him and kill him again, because we had a little one, and I was like, I can't do this without you. You've got to get yourself together and healthier. So we really had to cut down his medication.
Well, that happened the second time that happened. It was like 2 weeks later. And then I just said, look, instead of taking a whole pill every day, let's take half a pill every day. And then over time, that turned into half a pill every other day. And then it was no need for a pill.
Right.
But that was all in conjunction, with a doctor and checking my BP multiple times a day properly. So the point is, if you've got medications, that's a part of your medical history.
Right.
That you have to take into account. So that's why working, especially if you've got, some conditions and medications to go along with that, working with somebody rather than just the internet in general or group coaching in general. Sometimes, especially if there are some situations like that, sometimes those need to be addressed by someone with a little bit more, with some more specificity. So I'll leave it at that.
And to keep in mind, when it comes to your medications, talk to your pharmacist. They're going to give you some guidelines. If you're not able to ask your doctor, or you don't feel like you're not able to get through with your doctor, call your pharmacist. Your pharmacist will go over all your medications with you and tell you, okay, well, we could change it from here to here. Take this one in the morning, take this one, an hour later. So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah.
So,
and these days, your doctor, your providers, an app away if you have questions. And if you're not sure how to approach your provider, again, that's where a coach can help you kind of load your lip with, ask them this and ask this way.
Right.
Just to get you, because ultimately this comes down to you. It's all your decision. So we just want to give you the best options available. So anyway, with that, we're over time, but we're going to come back next Sunday, 8 Central, and do this again. So bring some questions, bring some new people with you, people that are either just getting started on their ketogenic diet journey, or if they're looking at it, they're thinking, I see the tabloids, but I also hear there's actual research being done, there's actual results. Have them bring their questions. That's what we want to do is help, really the new person. Because, I was a new person. I could get bogged down into, I had a question today about, the A1C versus a glycated albumin test versus a fructosamine test. And which one do I need to do? And, that's for a later time. Right now, I need to, lose some fat. I need to, get rid of the brain fog. I've got some inflammation and my joints hurt. How do I get started on this thing? That's who we want to address. So thank you for stopping in tonight, and we will see you next Sunday. Oh, and we've got a cool video going to be premiering part 1 of how to use a PhD post bariatric surgery, and potentially how to not ever have to go down that road in the future. So part 1 is going to drop Thursday night. I forget what time, but be on the lookout. And then we're going to come back here next Sunday night